Welcome to Arts and Music. I am your host, Victor Janflone. Today, I am pleased to bring you One Gun. Welcome, One Gun, to the show today. How are things
What's
there?
up, Victor?
How is everything?
Victor! I'm in beautiful Minneapolis, so all is well. All is well.
The COVID-19 situation, how's that been affecting you?
Well, let's just say I am worried about it. It's funny, though, with all that's happening. The story is I just finished shooting a video, and the videographer / editor, he's the first one that I've heard his mom pass, who was already elderly, but she passed from COVID. Other than that, I haven't heard of anyone close to me or anyone that I know. And, we're social distancing, but, we're going out, we're wearing our mask. We get together with small groups. When I say small, like 2 or 3 people. But I'm keeping an eye on it. And I mean, it's kind of sci-fi-ish, but it's real. You see a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this in movies, but I'm like, what did they know? Because this is hitting us hard, and I'm just thankful that I'm staying safe. My wife, family, everybody's safe, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. That's all we can do. How about you, Victor? You doing good?
Well, I haven't had any work for quite a while, so I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm still here, and I'm getting through. I just wanted to ask you, too, about being that you're in Minneapolis. You were there when this whole thing went down with the George Floyd and stuff, right? And
what's funny is, so I'm living in Phoenix most of the time, and when we left there, Phoenix numbers were really low, and my wife and I decided, well, let's, she's from here. I lived most of my life here, so we decided, let's go to Minneapolis, but let's not fly, let's drive. So we drove my truck. We made a few stops here and there. And before we came here, there was a spike in Minneapolis. This is my thing I'm telling people. There was a spike in Minneapolis. When we got here, the spike transferred to Phoenix. So hopefully it's running from us. But bottom line is we've been here most of the summer. We've been here since May. I've been home a couple times, but when I did go home, it was 117, 118 degrees. So I'm glad that I'm here. So COVID doesn't control everything. It's weather, it's missing family, it's being closed up, just me and my wife, and we can only play, spades so many times. And
where did you grow up?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Wisconsin kid. Grew up in the city of Milwaukee, and I think before I went into the 7th grade, we moved out to a suburb called Brown Deer. Mm-hmm. It was up and coming, and that's where I did my high schooling, and after that, moved around, hit college a couple times, and next thing you know, I was in Minneapolis. It's all about the music, of course.
Right.
Minneapolis was the place. But yeah, Milwaukee. I'm an old Milwaukee kid.
Was music a big part of your family?
Oh, yeah. My dad was an amazing jazz singer, and I think he toured the country a little bit, but he was just known everywhere in Milwaukee. And, there's a few, he couldn't even name them, but he said, I used to have a few name acts open up for me. And I would say who, and he's like, I can't remember, but those guys that made it, I still look at them today. He was showing them the ropes, and I'm like, wow, and it's amazing. He put out records, and he never got that deal that, as back then an independent deal was kind of like non-existent, but he created it, and he put out his own records and stuff. So long story short, my dad was a great singer. His sisters and brothers, gospel singers, sang in church. And it just trickles down. You know, my brother can sing. I think he's still singing periodically in church right now. And his son sings. So, yeah, a musical family.
What was your first instrument?
First instrument was the saxophone.
Wow. What age were you then for that?
I can't play it. I was like 7 years old.
Uh-huh.
I can't play it, but I love it. But also, you know, after that, by 12, I think I was on to drums. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this just went on from there.
Yeah, drums was my first instrument at like 5, I think.
Yeah, don't your parents love that, or didn't they love that?
Well, I only had those pads, those old remote pads that you could play, right? And like a cymbal, and there was no real kit. It was just that. Do you remember your first gig?
Yeah, I do. My first gig was back where I lived. There was a park called Lincoln Park, and they would have these summer local band contests. And one thing people didn't do, like I think a lot of them were dancing to music. We came on. It was me, my brother, and my 2 female cousins. I was playing. I didn't have a whole drum set. I had a snare. I had a snare, kick, and hi-hat. My brother played guitar. I think the older girl cousin played bass, and the younger one played tambourine. And we were like the Partridge Family. We were just called the Gunn Family Singers, and we won the contest. And after that, we went on to. My brother reminded me of this just a few days ago. He said we went on to try out for some show. I don't remember. I was 12 years old. It was like when I just learned how to play the drums, but I picked them up really fast.
Yeah.
And he said we went on to try out for some kind of larger scale national contest, but we didn't make it. But yeah, it was just the 4 of us, and we were singing. I think it was a Fifth Dimension song, you know, like Up, Up and Away or something like that. Remember the Fifth Dimension?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. That was
Kinda
our
like
first show. It was like we were at the boxing arena.
Guys are kind of like the Jacksons, right?
Exactly.
So what concert did you see in Chicago that led you to hooking up with guys from the time?
Well, that's another story. So me and my buddy, I mean, we were huge Prince fans, and we played music in Milwaukee and tried to emulate a lot of that Prince vibe, because it wasn't the Minneapolis sound yet; it was the Prince vibe. And he had a concert in Chicago, so me and my buddy, I had this raggedy old beat up car, and we drove to Chicago. It was only about an hour and a half, but my car was rattling like crazy, and because I was like doing probably like 95, maybe 100. I swear it was like rattling, like each piece was going to start flying off on the highway. And we got there, and it was when the time first opened for Prince. I'm not good with remembering venues and things like that, but it was when the time first opened for Prince. And we missed the show. And my buddy, who was the one that actually ended up moving up to Minneapolis, and basically we got in Maserati together. He knew where their hotel was, so he said, let's go to the hotel. So we went to the hotel, and we're walking in. You know, we're dressed like musicians, of course. We're walking in, and we look in front of us, and we ended up walking right behind the time. So we walked in with them. I don't even think they noticed us. We walked in with them, walking with people. Some people recognize them. They're waving and stuff, and we walked right into the elevator behind them. And we were like those guys, you know. It was like a movie scene. We were in the back of the elevator. They're in front of us, and we were looking at each other like,
right.
And so they got off. They got off on like the top floor, just first. We walked with them, and next thing you know, they all went to their rooms. So we're like, wow, what do we do now? We're looking over the balcony, looking down into the atrium. And after a while, they all start coming out. They didn't go anywhere. They just came out to hang out, like they were winding down. And we were right in front of Terry Lewis's room. Mm-hmm. So he came out and he started chit-chatting with us. What do you guys do? You look like musicians. Yeah, we are. You know, we missed the show and everything. He's like, oh, man, blah, blah, blah. We're talking, and this is what we want to do. And he said, you know, if you guys make it to Minneapolis, I want to do something with you. And we looked at each other, and it was like it was like time just progressed. It was like we went to this time warp. Next thing you know, we were packing up and we moved to Minneapolis. It had to be like 3 days later.
The time
3 days
warp.
later. It's like we just sped up, like time just. And next thing you know, we were in Minneapolis. Plus, he had a brother that was up here, but we were in Minneapolis with another group of guys. But it was really those guys, but it was the two of us trying to get to Terry Lewis. And this was before Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And this was also before we knew that, oh man, Prince hated when his musicians did other things. It's either he hated it or he hated that they didn't bring it to him. You know how you just want to do your own thing, and Prince, we don't want your help. We're branching off. I'm going to do this, and he would fire you or get rid of you. So that's the beginning story. If you want more, I'll tell you.
Well, I was just going to ask you, how did Maserati get started?
Hey, well, you know, that's a good question, Victor. My buddy, Tony Christian, he ran into Mark Brown on the street. It was off the street. And, you know, back then, you know, everybody had, if you're a musician, you had that kind of musician look. But if you know Tony Christian or have ever heard of him, he's a very, very unique looking guy. And he draws attention. Him and Mark became buddies. I think Mark even put him up for a little while. So he was in awe that he was with Prince's bass player. Mark was in awe, like, who is this guy from Milwaukee? And the funny thing is, you know, this is before Maserati had any gigs, but that at some point, I think they did like a promo show or something, and they they lost the bass player. Something happened with the bass player, so he came in as bass. And at some point, they lost the keyboard player that they had. They were all local guys, high school friends. I think Mark went to school with lead vocalist Terry Casey. And they lost the keyboard player, and my buddy Tony said, I got somebody. Went in there, and it was just like a done deal. It's just like the two pieces missing to the puzzle. And we fit just perfect. And next thing you know, I'm starting to learn who Mark Brown really is. And back then, he was the shadow. You know, he had to be hush, hush. He's doing this behind Prince's back. He was a shadow. And
Okay.
Prince found out. And the good thing about it is, Prince did not get rid of Mark. He said he saw us perform. And later on, my friend JB, who was actually Prince's security guard, he just told me this about 2 or 3 years ago. So we did an award show in Minneapolis, Minnesota Music Awards, but we were doing cover music. You know, this was before Maserati was signed. And I did a song. I used to sing a couple songs when we did bar gigs. I sang Cool by the time.
Mm-hmm.
And JB told me one day, he said, you know, when Prince heard you sing Cool, he said, man, that guy sings Cool better than Morris Day. He said, we got to sign these guys. I'm like, JB, you're trying to tell me Prince signed Maserati because of me? He said, yeah, they did. I'm like, well, I'm sure it was the rest of the group, but that was flattering and everything. But I'm sure the way we moved, we were wild. We dressed crazy. I mean, at one point in time, Prince said, man, I wish I was in Maserati. He literally wanted to front the group.
So Onegunn, did you work with Prince?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, there's still an item on the table today that's related to Prince. But first of all, how we got involved with Prince is, you know, once we signed this, we were the first group signed to Paisley Park Records. I was like 3 years old or something like that. I was really young, Victor. So, but we were signed to Paisley Park, and before we went out and opened for him, you know, he would run our rehearsals. So it was awesome working with him. You know, he would work with us individually. He worked with musicians, you know, separately, like, you know, like coming up and showing us parts and things like that. And I guess I went a little ahead of myself. So before that, he actually was in the studio when Maserati was making the album. I came into the album, like, they got some songs done, and I came into the album. They were a little less than, they probably had a quarter done, and they got me out to the studio for vocals, because the entire band didn't work on the album. It was really 4 of us and Brown, Mark, and Prince. So he got us out to LA, Sunset Sound Studios, and we're working on our album and we're rocking and jamming and we're just in awe to be out there working with Prince. See, me and Tony, the Milwaukee kids, we were in awe of Prince. I think Minneapolis kind of had, people that were here, maybe they had seen him or through Brown Mark, some of the band may have met him, but we were in awe of him. And one day in the studio, he came in and said, "Hey, I want you guys to do a song." And it was like this, country and western thing on a acoustic guitar. And needless to say, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, we're signed his label, so you do what the guy tells you to do. But some of the band got pissed and they didn't want to be part of it. So, Tony and I said, "Hey, man, let's stay in here." And it was David Z was engineering and doing some production. And so, the group that was out there, walked out. And me and Tony and David said, "Well, hey, we got nothing else to do. Somebody's paying for the studio time. Let's go to work." So I sang the lead vocal. We started working it. And, one of the greatest things about Kiss is that arpeggiation of the keyboard. That was created. The arpeggiation didn't exist at that time. So David Z did something to run it back. I can't remember what vehicle he used to make it do that. But anyway, that brought the song alive. And basically, me and Tony, we did all the background vocals. I played some keyboards on it, sang the lead I just sang the lead as a scratch. We didn't think anything of it, but later on we thought, whoa, this is going to be a Maserati's album, and I'm going to have one song on the album as a lead vocalist. So this is great. We went home, we worked all night, and we probably worked till 5 a.m. We had to be back at like 6:30. So there was no sleep. We got back at 6:30. Tony and I were in the, kind of the lobby area. They had a pinball machine to the side. We're playing pinball, and we hear something on the radio, and I'm like, man, that sounds so familiar. We're still a little groggy. That sounds so familiar. And we hear a voice that says, "How do you like it?" And my mind started clicking in. The coffee started clicking in. I'm like, oh, that's a song we did last night, but my lead vocal's gone. His is on there. This badass guitar's on there. And it's amazing. And I'm like, but there's no bass. But I'm like, hey, it works. And we said, we like it. And thus, that was his way of saying, I'm taking the song back.
That was for the song Kiss by Prince.
That was for Kiss.
Right?
Yep.
And 100 miles per hour he wrote too, right?
Yep. He wrote 100 miles per hour. That actually charted. I think it hit like 18 or 19 on the charts. Everything he touched with us, it just did well. Or when we worked with him, it did well. He also, I think he had a hand in the lyrics of a song called "Strawberry Lovers," kind of a rock funk style of song. And then he had a hand in, I believe, "I Guess It's All Over."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he kept his hands in the pot. He wanted to be part of it, and whatever, like I said, whatever he did was awesome. It was awesome working with him. I called him my mentor from afar, because I never sat down and said, "Hey, man, show me everything you know," and take me through the ropes. I watched him like a hawk. We rehearsed at Paisley Park. We'd see him out there, rehearsing before his show. We went out to Sheridan, Wyoming, when there was a person that won a contest regarding his movie. And needless to say, if you won the contest, he brought a show to your town. So that's one of the times. That was kind of in between the tour. We were opening up for Prince. But yeah, he just an amazing artist, man. You can't say enough. When I start seeing the respect he got later on in life from other musicians, I'm like, yeah, he deserves this.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you care to mention some other famous artists that you've done work with?
Well, I've done work with artists that I don't think music was released. I worked with Jermaine Jackson. Funny thing with him is we would look at each other and say, man, he said, "You sound like me." And I said, "You sound like me." And we had really similar vocal sounds and vocal stylings, stuff like that. But, working with and touring, Maserati toured with, Alexander O'Neill. Let's go back in the day when we were playing the bars, and we would get into battles like, we were both these well-known bands, local bands in town, and how we worked it out with Alexander, it would be like we were playing the same club. It'd be like, okay, you open tonight, then the next night we open. It would go back and forth like that. So before Alex got to his level of success, he was awesome to perform within the clubs. Man, New Edition, The Time. I'd have to remember all the concerts we did. We opened for Molly Hatchet at a Wrestle Rock thing.
That's
The
funny.
booze were coming. Well, that's one of our greatest times because the booze were coming until we started playing. And it's like, by the end of the show, it was once again like a movie scene. By the end of the show, they were cheering for us, but they were literally booing through our songs. And we started rocking out, man. And
Luckily, you didn't have
we
chicken wire
got
put up.
love. Oh my God! And I just
Like in
saw
the
the
Blues
Blues Brothers
Brothers.
the other day. But yeah, there's so many artists I can't remember them all. Going back to I just remember the artist my dad mentioned was Al Jarreau. He used to open for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we loved it, man. Back then, it was all about music. It wasn't about. You needed money to live and survive, but it was about performing. Just
Yeah.
being out there. And I'm working
Mm-hmm.
with Prince, and if you can imagine walking on clouds, that's what it felt like.
Oh, I'm
It
sure,
was like
man.
surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a surreal incident.
Now you worked with Paula Abdul too, right?
Oh yeah, man. I told you I forget stuff, man. Of course, Paula. Man, that's my girl.
Yeah.
That is girl. Yeah, Paula. Oh man, she is so cool. And then the stuff that we did that was with Oliver Lieber that was post Maserati.
Mm-hmm.
We after Maserati, Tony and I kind of ventured off onto our own thing, and we ended up working in the same studio that this producer, up and coming guy, and named Oliver Lieber was working out of, and he got hold of some of our stuff. Or how studios go, where you may be trying to entice somebody. Oh, these are the guys that just came in and you play something. I don't know if our music was that great, but we loved it. We put all our heart and soul in it, and next thing you know, we connected with him, and we did. First thing we did with him was a song called "Obsessed," and it was for a movie called Bright Lights, Big City with Michael J. Fox. And I always tell the story of if you get a song in a movie, it's the norm for some of these famous people. But just hearing your song that you sang on in some other venue or aspect or in a movie situation is so awesome for the first time. And we were just studying the movie, watching the movie. Yeah, the movie's okay. This kid's he's doing a bunch of cocaine, blah blah blah. The song comes on, and he has cocaine nosebleed, and he runs in the bathroom, and he closes the door on the song. So that was it. You heard the song for a few seconds, close out the song, but we loved it, and we loved doing that with him, and that led to Paula. Next thing you know, he's working with this LA. I believe at the time she was an LA cheerleader, and he said, "Yeah, I want you guys to help me with this. I'm doing some stuff for her." It really was, to me, it was more like doing demos for
Mm-hmm.
her. The song, my favorite, of course, being a little biased, but Opposites Attract. I
Mm-hmm.
sang that whole track, and he sent it to Paula. I didn't expect to be on it. I didn't expect it to be a duet, but somehow they worked it out with her label that I think we want to keep this guy on it as a duet and make it a back and forth. And I was just so happy. I was ecstatic that they actually liked what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so on the first album, Forever Your Girl, we sang on 3 tracks. Opposites Attract was a duet. And of course, 2 number ones and a number 2, Never Hurt Anybody. So
Right.
it was amazing to work with. Saw her about 3 or 4 years ago in Phoenix. And yeah, great person, man.
Yeah. What's interesting too is when you're working with these people, especially if you're in the studio, you are learning a lot. You know what I mean? You're like picking up stuff. When I was doing the work I was doing, I was picking up all kinds of stuff. So, and it makes your creativity grow too, I think, as you're doing that. When you're writing
Well, yeah,
music.
the influences, of course.
Yeah.
Like I always say this, like now I'm, most of the time it's for the ease, and at the same time, I just have the equipment. Now I do just about everything myself. I'm just getting into because I like to do music. I'd send it to you, Victor, and say, what do you think? Or let you mix it if you're an engineer, this and that, because I'm getting it out of my ears. You know what I mean? Getting it out of my frame of mind.
Right.
But now I don't like to be slowed down. I don't like to wait. I need to put a guitar in there. I pick up and I'll play guitar. I need to do, live drums. I'll find a place with a drum set. Vocals, I'm always my most comfortable arena.
Mm-hmm.
Anything I need to do now, even down to I've gotten comfortable with mixing and doing a little bit of mastering. And I do that just to, I'm like you said, I'm learning. I'm using all these techniques that come back from working with these great artists and great producers and engineers. And I'll do this for a minute, and I've got something scheduled where I'm going to be working with the guy that engineered one of my songs, which I have a video out to called Signs. And he wants to do like he brought this project to me. He said, yeah, I want to do like a We Are the World type of thing, with everything that's going on. And I said, well, let's make it Minnesota based. And as we get closer to working on it, I'll reach out to the artists I know, Paul Peterson, Stokely from Mint Condition, Matt Fink from The Revolution. These are my guys. And I definitely look forward to potentially pulling them in, NPG and all those guys to work on this and maybe do that multicam screenshot of us all working on the song together. But I've got that coming up with my guy over at Savannah Street Music, and I'm really looking forward to it. But before that, I'm working on my next single, so it's always something happening.
That's great. That's wonderful. Now, Maserati ended, and then you went and did this stuff like with Paula, Abdul, and various other people. Did this Bob Marley tribute thing start that you did?
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you, after Paula, and we continued to work with Oliver. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wild Pair. We were a brief thing. We were out before. We kind of had, I don't want to say anything like it, but just looking at us and the hair, Milli Vanilli, we were out before Milli Vanilli, and we got signed to, we were like, the two guys, and but we didn't have the dreads or braids. We had, we just had long hair and the black rocker look. And we were signed to, as a Wild Pair, we were signed to Capitol Records. But unfortunately, they let us go. It was Christmas Eve, so it was very hard. And after that hit me so hard because now I'm learning the business aspect of it. So, there's money involved here, and now it's my thing. So after that, it hit me so hard that I literally got out the industry. I got out the business for about 9 years, and I still thought about music, but I'd have friends trying to pull me back in. But I'm like, man, I'm done. I got out the music. I met my wife when I was out of music, so she didn't even know I was a musician. Mm-hmm. And moved out to Phoenix. So I'm in Phoenix, and the music started bubbling up in me. I got together with a local band, still my favorite band out there to see, the straight up band. And I said, yeah, I'm starting to get back into this. So I started working on, doing like a solo project. But in the meantime, I went out to, let me see. Oh, it was when they first built Talking Stick. It's like it was a brand new casino. It's probably the newest casino out there, one of them on the Scottsdale side. Mm-hmm. And I went to see a tribute. I didn't know much about him. And it was the guy that does Prince out of Vegas. He's probably the best Prince impersonator out there. And his brother, who I knew, a guy named Levant, he would interject and do more stay in the show. I thought that was so cool. Like Prince would play, the tables would spin, and he'd come out, and he came out with one of my favorite songs of all time, Get It Up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh man, this stuff is happening. And he's emulating Morris Day, and then he would go off, Prince would come back. So they had a very unique concept for their show. And, when they got off stage, Levant, of course, we sat down and talked for a while. He said, yeah, man, I'm thinking about doing Lenny Kravitz. I've always wanted to do Lenny Kravitz. And I'm like, well, man, somehow we came up on Bob Marley. And between all of us, we said, okay, Lenny Kravitz and Bob Marley, let's take it out. Let's road test it. And he never did Lenny Kravitz, but I got stuck on Bob Marley. I'm like, well, let me see how it works. And it was so crazy. As I started doing Bob Marley, I realized how, of course, we all know Bob Marley, but he wasn't really as wide known, his notoriety across this country, especially on the West Coast, I realized wasn't there. I had people coming up and saying, who is Bob Marley? But you got to remember, in the tribute venue, Elvis is the king. Michael Jackson is king. Bob Marley, I think Legends in Concert said the same thing. Bob Marley, let's get this guy in here. We don't have one of those. When I do Bob Marley, I'm the only, I would say, authentic tribute person, meaning that, I dress and I look the part.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people play his music and do tributes to him, but I'm the only one that at least try to bring the authenticity of what he did. So in my personal shows, you get that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. I've got a 4 or 5 piece band. We dress in our camouflage gear. We're representing that, this is a revolution of music when we go out, and we do our thing. Legends in Concert, it's a whole different world, man. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different world. And I'm like, well, I'm hired to do my thing, so I'm going to do my thing, and I'm not going to worry about it. And it's big fun. I did Las Vegas a couple summers ago. I did Myrtle Beach last summer, and I really enjoy that. The shows I love, but learning new cities and doing, 4 or 5 months in these cities, and it's like, man, you got to get out of your own space once in a while, mm-hmm. and just see the country. And when I do this, it's like, and I went to Niagara Falls on the Canada side. I did a couple days up there. I'm like, it's amazing. It makes you think about, I don't have to really stay in one place. So I do keep that option open for Bob. As a matter of fact, I just got my call back. I had a Bob Marley tribute in Coachella, March 12th. March 13th, they called and canceled.
Oh.
Well, actually the night of the 12th. I had everything ready to go. The night of the 12th, they said, we can't do it. They shut down California.
That's actually where my job went at the same time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the same
just
time.
got called back to reschedule that for, I believe they want to do February 28th. I'm like, is the COVID going to be done by then? I'm like, where are you getting these dates? Mm-hmm. So that's coming up. I still love doing Bob, but I really focus on Onegunn. I don't know if you've seen or heard my latest single called Be Cool, Everybody, but
yes, that's
my heart and soul, man. Onegunn is my heart and soul. You listen to my music, you'll get to know me. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking just today about the past and the path I had paved, and it was kicking. It seems like yesterday, but it feels so far away. I couldn't reach it. So I said to myself, you tried, yes you didn't, just can't quit it. I'm still alive, and now it's here again, it's here, and I'm gonna take it. Ooh, ooh. I know a place that we should be. People just like you and me. Signs, pay attention to the signs. Oh, oh.
Speaking back of Bob Marley, is spirituality important in your music?
The spirituality through him is exactly what I try to exude in his concerts. And if you come see my Bob Marley tribute, it all looks like we're just emulating things like that. But I take Bob Marley personal. I take if I felt like I did a bad show, a bad performance, I take that personal. And on that level, I exude the spirituality of it. Stopping the hate and the separatism and the racism. And I try to bring everybody together. It's all about one love. And the great thing about when I do my shows, people know this. You can feel it. My shows bring a huge Native American audience. I've even had a Bob Marley neighbor that lived across the street from him, so he said, at my concert, and he knew Bob as a boy, so I didn't deny it, but he said, "Man, you remind me of him." And I'm like, that was the greatest compliment, whether it was my mannerisms, whether it was my voice, because I'm trying to emulate him. I'm trying to give that, I give you that Jamaican scene. So I give you that, when you talk about, I don't know, when you talk about Rastafari, my belief in that is, or I should say my agreement to that belief is, yeah, if you smoke, you get higher, you get closer to the one, the Almighty. I believe it does open up your mind to something like that. So there could be a closeness or a relativity in that arena. But once again, back to your question, I believe in the spirituality of it. I believe in, going as far as, let me try to bring Bob to the show. If he's anywhere close, man, Bob, come to me. Just help me get this done,
Right.
And that's why I can't let it go. So that kind of got me inspired again with music. And then it also made me think about, what do I want to do as an individual? What did I want to do before everything happened that made me say, I'm going to walk away from music? So yes, I hold Bob very highly, and I don't take it as just a tribute, and you meet some of these artists in the business, and there's great tribute artists. I mean, they're great musicians they really enjoy, like, man, I had an Elvis guy tell me, if I knew when I grew up, I was going to be able to make money emulating Elvis, I would have been like, man, Mom, I made it, And I'm like, okay, I'm like, that's for you. I've worked with about 6 Elvises, so I said, hey, that's for you. But all of them are very talented people, and I say to myself, I'm in a whole different realm because I've got to hold up to Bob Marley. You may be an Elvis fan, like I say, you may be a Michael Jackson fan, Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, but I hold Bob at a whole different esteem, and I hold Bob up here. He's high.
Mm-hmm. Working in different genres through your career, does that help with your compositions for your original music?
Hey, Victor, that stuff gets embedded in you, man. I can't just do Bob and walk away. I mean, I had to get entrenched into this. I don't know how other people do it. I just do my thing.
Right.
But I had to get entrenched. And if you hear, I've got a single that just got picked up for a film that's going to be coming out, I believe, over in Europe or London. It's called Join In, and it's got I call it, it's an undercurrent of reggae. So you've got that undercurrent of reggae through the guitar, and you've got the R&B funk right on top of it. So it's like I give you a layered cocktail in that song.
Yeah, there's a lot of different rhythms going on, which is cool. It all works together, but it's it's nice. Good song, man. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think about it and it just comes out. When you write, you got to get it down while you're thinking about it. So if it ain't me on my audio recorder, hammering out the rhythms and the melody, I can get to my computer in Pro Tools and lay it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I moved my keyboard to my bedroom, so it's literally like it's like not even. It's like 6 feet away. Social distancing, actually, in my bedroom. Right?
Yeah.
The keyboard.
Well, what's funny is And I just started doing this, but later on I started thinking about it. So, I can wake up in the middle of the night, grab my phone, just be like, okay, I got this idea. And then one time I realized, I wonder if my wife thinks, she's laying over there. Does she think I'm like calling somebody or having some kind of affair? Because she's never said anything. But yeah, I'm like making noise at 3, 4 in the morning,
Right.
all that stuff, hammering out melody. So, she hasn't said anything. And that's, I'll tell you, one of the things that probably happens to everybody, and you can attest to this. If you don't get it down, it's gone. Unless it's in your head, just like nonstop, you can't get rid of it. But I've forgotten so much stuff that I thought was going to be great, and I'm going to make a song out of it. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, what was that? I'm just looking out in space.
That happened to me yesterday.
Oh,
I went right to the keyboard, started the drums, and put the bass line in, and then I started doing this off comp like piano keyboard part. And actually, the way it's blending nice, but it's just one section, So I'm like, man, now what am I gonna do? But it's kind of neat. But I understand.
Well, I learned on my phone, like you have an idea, you're you're doing the audio thing, and you're speaking to it, and and then I realized that, well, at some point in time, I'm like, well, I have to go to another one because I can't go over the top of that. But I learned how to go to the end of it and continue recording. And next thing you know, I got like 8 or 9 minutes of notes to go through to get this song done. And I'm just thankful that I put it down when I think about it. No hesitation. I can be out like a light, but I will wake up and boom, lay that down.
That's cool. What is next for you?
Well, I've always wanted to, to sustain longevity in this arena. I've always wanted to do one thing, and that's get, songs, put in movie scenarios, sitcoms, TV shows. I've got so much in the works right now. On top of my list, of course, is, you probably know or don't know that I won a Grammy. But the Grammy is not sitting here. Like I can grab this phone right here. I can't pick up and hold my Grammy. So I'm in.
But you can get a picture on the phone, right? You can be like, there's my Grammy, man. It's coming.
Well, hey, I got a Grammy watch. In 2017, they gave out watches for Grammys. Yeah, and I got a watch that I had to pay for. But I got the Grammy watch. But no, I'm talking to the awards department right now about, I want my Grammy. I should get it for free, depending on, let me know the circumstances. They're talking about, hey, it's been a long time and we don't do that kind of thing. Well, I'm saying, if I earned it, why is there a time limit on it? I may be a little late getting to the ball game, but now I'm working on getting that. So I'm doing that. I'm writing a script for with my wife, a script for a TV show, or it could be any one of those venues now. You got Netflix, you got all these little back alleys for putting TV shows out there. But it's about the effects of schizophrenia. That's in our family, and we've got some great ideas. And I'm also an actor, so I will be in it. And I'll just tell you that right now. So I'm working on that, working on the script for that. Like I said, just got to join in, and it's going to be in an upcoming movie called The Bully. My next single coming out, called Why, is, I was up till 5 a.m. working on that. So I'm continuing to do everything. I do so much, Victor, that we'll have to have a side conversation. And
yeah, for sure,
I'll tell you what I do and all the things I do outside. But when you talk about where I'm so fortunate is that, yes, the economy and things and jobs and income and things like that have hit, but we're sustaining, we're doing okay, and we're just, like I said, fortunate, lucky, you name it. But I've got a lot of things in the works, and stay tuned. There's more to come.
Right on. And for the last question, Where can people find you on the internet?
If you look up, I have a I have a cousin that said, "Hey man, I just heard your music. I didn't know you put all this music out. Where can I find it?" I said, "Well, do you have? First of all, you know how to spell one gun, Onegunn, one word." And I said, "Do you have Spotify? Do you have Google? Do you have Amazon? Do you have iTunes?" I said, "Look me up. I'm all over that." And you can find me in all those arenas. I've got a website called One Gun Entertainment. You can find me there. But if you just, as they say, you can Google anything. So Google One Gun, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you hear. I've got, right now with Wolf Entertainment, I'm signed to Wolf Entertainment.
Helmet.
Over in Helmet Wolf.
Yes.
And I am working on, now I did my first album as under One Gun Entertainment. The second one, stuff like Join In and the re-release of Signs is under Wolf Entertainment. Mm-hmm. And of course, Be Cool and all that. So, man, loving what I'm doing with him. And, I got to mention this. May 8th of 2021, the Wave of Love Music Festival. Wolf Entertainment is presenting. Have you seen that yet? Heard anything about that?
No, I have not.
Yeah. If look on Wolf Entertainment on Facebook, and I'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
It's a Wave of Love Music Festival. It's going to, because he's got artists all over the world, so he's going to start the show somewhere like in New Zealand or Australia, or depending on how the clock works. But artists in China, Africa. There's 4 of us in the United States. I think New York, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and one other city. He's got 4 artists. So and it's going to be a 24-hour concert. So it's going to be nonstop.
Nice. May
8th is going to be streamed live, and you have to watch it. And they're going to get to One Gun in Phoenix about, I think I'm going to do like a 10 p.m. show. So I've got an hour set at 10 p.m. It's going to be awesome. Finding the venue with this COVID thing going on, that's a little tougher.
Right.
But they want to live stream a venue with an audience. So I'm looking at indoor venues. I'm looking at outdoor venues. May is tough in Phoenix because it can be hot as hell. Mm-hmm. Or it can be, like in the 80s, like average 80s. So that's coming up. That's huge.
And I just want to say a thank you to Helmet. I actually saw your work before, just from when Helmet signed you or something. And I was watching your stuff. And then I was going to go on your website and try to contact you for an interview. And then somehow Helmet and I were texting. And I was like, hey, I really like One Gun. He's like, would you like to do an interview with One Gun? And I was like, sure. Yeah, for sure. So that's how that happened, was through Helmet. So thank you, Helmet. And thank you, One Gun. And I'm grateful that you're on the show today.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir. And every connection is a friend connection. So I hope we can do this again, on and off the air. And I'll, like I said, I'm putting you in my contacts and
cool.
Adding you to my email list and all that.
You have my phone number.
Okay. I got your phone number. I may show up at your doorstep, for a cup of coffee or something. We'll see.
Hey, man.
But
might be out in Phoenix.
Exactly.
You might be seeing me a lot. You never know.
6 feet away. I got my mask. Okay, I'm ready. Do this.
I told you my keyboard's social distancing, so
Well, I'd like to see that. Are you planning with this? Is that how you do it? Like keyboard, play.
Well, I tell Alexa, and Alexa tells it.
Oh man! One day, that's funny you say that, but one day we'll be so lazy, right? That now we don't have to go anywhere to see a concert, or we don't have to go to movie theaters. One day we won't even have to play any. If I can get my music to be created just from my mind, my God, I do like 6 albums a year.
Well, just think of how everybody would be like that. You'd be crazy, right? So.
Oh yeah, I love competition though.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate you, sir. And this was awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a great
day.
All
right.
Thanks.
You too. We'll be in touch. Take care.
Thank you for watching Arts and Music. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, please email us at artsandmusicpgh@yahoo.com. And until next time, peace.
A pretty face, to never see you frown, because my life was so incomplete until you knowingly intentionally put it on me. Okay.